Frank Miller rubbed his tired eyes and looked back at the screen. The strange blip was still there, orbiting Earth at an unusual angle. As a NASA engineer for 15 years, he had seen plenty of space debris. But this was different. Its orbit was too perfect, its shape too symmetrical. "Susan, can you come look at this?" He called to his colleague, who was working on the other side of the control room. Susan Wright pushed her chair across the floor, her curiosity piqued by the tone in Frank's voice. She peered at the screen, her brow furrowing. "That's not one of ours," she said, reaching for the keyboard to zoom in on the object. "And it's not on any of the debris tracking lists. It showed up 3 hours ago," Frank explained. "At first I thought it was a glitch in the system, but I've run 4 separate scans. It's real, and it's like nothing I've ever seen before." The object was roughly the size of a school bus, but its composition readings were off the charts. The computer couldn't identify the materials. Within 24 hours, NASA's director had been briefed, and within 48, the president knew. 1 week later, a special mission was launched to investigate the mysterious object. Frank watched nervously from mission control as astronauts approached the strange craft. The video feed showed what everyone had suspected but feared to say out loud. The object was artificial, and definitely not made by human hands. "It appears to be some kind of vessel," came the astronaut's voice, filled with awe. "But parts of it are missing, like it's incomplete or damaged." The object was carefully retrieved and brought to Earth. Under the highest security, it was transported to a remote facility in Nevada desert, where Frank and Susan were waiting, along with dozens of the world's best scientists. "It looks like someone's trash," said Henry Collins, the spacecraft designer who joined the team. He walked around the object, now resting in an enormous hangar. "Like they built something, it didn't work right, and they just dumped it." Lisa Green, an expert in theoretical technologies, ran her instruments over the strange metal hull. "This material can withstand temperatures that would melt any Earth metal," she said, her voice filled with wonder. "And these components, I think this is part of a propulsion system, but it works on principles we've barely even theorized." The government established Project Reclamation, with Frank appointed as lead engineer. Their mission: figure out what the alien tech was and whether humans could use it. Months passed as they carefully took apart pieces of the strange craft. Every day brought new discoveries and new questions. The scientists worked day and night, sleeping on cots in the facility, too excited to go home. "Look at this," Susan said one night, pointing to a section that looked like it might be a computer. "These patterns are repeating. I think it's some kind of code or language." Frank's heart raced. If we could decode that. The breakthrough came 6 months into the project. One of the components, when connected to a power source, activated. A soft hum filled the lab, and a pale blue light emanated from what appeared to be a drive core. "It still works," Henry whispered, his face lit by the ethereal glow. That night, as Frank lay on his cot unable to sleep, he stared at the ceiling thinking about what they had found. Something advanced enough to travel between stars had been discarded, thrown away like garbage near Earth's orbit. One civilization's trash, Frank thought as he finally drifted off to sleep. But what could it become in humanity's hands? He didn't know then that the answer would change everything. The stars, once impossibly distant, would soon be within reach. And it all began because someone, something, had thrown away what they no longer wanted. What the aliens had scrapped would become humanity's greatest creation. 3 years passed since the discovery of the alien craft. The once empty Nevada facility now buzzed with activity as hundreds of scientists worked around the clock. Project Reclamation had grown into the most important scientific effort in human history. Frank stood in the main lab, looking at the holographic display of the alien vessel. After thousands of hours of work, they had mapped every inch of the strange technology, though understanding it was another matter entirely. "We made progress on the drive system," Henry said, joining Frank by the display. He pointed to a section near the rear of the craft. This definitely generates some kind of field that bends space. It's faster than light technology. Frank, I'm sure of it. Frank nodded. But it's damage. And even if it wasn't, we don't understand how to control it. Across the room, Lisa ran tests on a small piece of the hull. The material defied all normal laws of physics. It could withstand heat that would melt any Earth metal and pressure that would crush a submarine. If we could make more of this, she said to no one in particular, we could build ships that could travel anywhere in the solar system without fear of damage. The biggest challenge remained the alien computer systems. Partial and broken, they held the key to everything else. Paul Daniels, a quiet computer scientist recruited from Silicon Valley, had been working on the problem for 2 years. I think I've got something, Paul said one morning, his eyes red from lack of sleep. His desk was littered with empty coffee cups. I created an algorithm that might decode some of the basic operating principles. The team gathered around as Paul connected his computer to a piece of the alien tech. Code flashed across the screen, no longer random but showing clear patterns. It's working, Susan whispered. For the first time, humans began to understand how the alien technology functioned. Over the next months, they learned more about the propulsion system, the hull materials, and the power core. But not everyone had the same goals for the project. Admiral Joseph Taylor visited the facility often, always asking the same questions. Can we use this for weapons? Can we defend Earth if the aliens come back? This technology should be for exploration, Frank argued during a tense meeting. Not for making better ways to kill each other. We need to be realistic, Admiral Taylor said. If there are aliens advanced enough to build this, we need to be ready if they're not friendly. The argument continued for months, but Frank and Susan fought to keep the project focused on peaceful applications. They dreamed of something bigger than weapons. Late one night, as the facility grew quiet, Frank sat with Susan in the cafeteria. What if we could build our own ship? He asked. Not just study their tech, but use it. Build a Starship. Susan's eyes widened. With faster-than-light capabilities. Why not? We've learned enough. We could combine our technology with theirs. Something new. A human ship with alien tech at its core. The idea spread through the project like wildfire. Scientists who had been working on separate problems began collaborating on a unified vision, Earth's first Starship. They called it Project Phoenix, a new beginning rising from discarded parts. Henry drew up the first designs, a vessel smaller than a cruise ship, but infinitely more complex. Lisa worked on ways to reproduce the alien materials or find Earth substitutes. Paul focused on creating control systems that human pilots could use. Frank presented the idea to government officials from around the world. This isn't just America's project anymore, he told them. This belongs to all of humanity. For the first time in history, countries set aside their differences. The United Nations created a special committee to oversee what would become humanity's greatest achievement. Project Phoenix had begun. Humanity was going to the stars. The United Nations Space Center in Geneva buzzed with activity. Representatives from every nation gathered to witness humanity's greatest undertaking. On large screens, they watched as construction began in Earth orbit. The first modules are being transported tomorrow, Frank told the assembly. Now the head of engineering for Project Phoenix, he had aged years in just months. We're building her piece by piece, combining our technology with what we learned from the alien craft. Susan, standing beside him, added, this isn't just reverse engineering anymore. We're creating something new. A true hybrid of human ingenuity and alien advancement. The ship they planned would be the first vessel capable of traveling beyond our solar system. They named it the U.S. Horizon, a symbol of humanity's new frontier. In orbit, construction proceeded at incredible speed. Nations that once pointed nuclear weapons at each other now worked side by side. Chinese astronauts assembled the navigation systems while Russian engineers worked on life support. American and European teams focused on integrating the alien drive technology. Frank spent most of his time in space, overseeing the construction. From the window of the space station, he could see the horizon taking shape, sleek and beautiful, unlike any spacecraft humans had built before. "She's going to be amazing," Susan said, joining him at the window. "If we can make her work," Frank replied. The biggest challenge remained the power systems. The alien technology required energy levels far beyond what humans typically produced. Lisa had developed a solution, a reactor based on alien principles but built with Earth materials. "It should generate enough power," she explained during a briefing. "But we've never tested anything like this at full capacity." 3 months into construction, they were ready to test the power systems. Frank, Susan, and a team of engineers gathered in the control room of the space station. Lisa initiated the startup sequence remotely from the horizon. At first, everything went perfectly. Power readings rose steadily. Systems came online one by one. Then alarms started blaring. "Power fluctuations in Section 4. Someone shouted. "The containment field is failing," Susan said, her fingers flying across the controls. Frank grabbed the radio. "Lisa, shut it down now." Before Lisa could respond, a bright flash lit up the darkness of space. One of the Horizon's modules had exploded, breaking away from the main structure and sending debris floating in all directions. "Emergency teams, respond," Frank ordered. "We have people out there." Hours later, the grim news was confirmed. 2 engineers had been killed in the explosion. Project Phoenix faced its first major disaster. Back on Earth, the United Nations held emergency meetings. Many countries threatened to pull their support. Admiral Taylor argued that the project was too dangerous to continue. "We lost 2 good people," he said. "And for what? A pipe dream." Project Phoenix was put on hold pending an investigation. Frank, Susan, and the team worked day and night to find what went wrong. It was Lisa who finally discovered the answer. "Look at these readings," she said, pointing to a screen in the lab. "Our radiation shielding was interfering with the alien power source. They operate on completely different principles." With this knowledge, they redesigned the power systems. Frank presented their findings to the UN committee. "We made a mistake," he admitted, "but we learned from it. The new design is safer and more efficient." After weeks of debate, the vote came down. Project Phoenix would continue. Construction resumed with new safety protocols. The U.S. Horizon began to take its final shape. A vessel unlike anything humanity had built before, carrying the hopes and dreams of an entire planet. 6 months later, Frank stood in what would be the bridge of the horizon. Through the viewports, Earth glowed blue and beautiful. "We're almost ready," Susan said, joining him. Frank nodded. "Now we just need a crew brave enough to fly her." Finding the right people to crew the first faster-than-light Starship wasn't easy. Thousands of applications poured in from every corner of the world. Military pilots, scientists, engineers, and doctors all wanted to be part of history. "We need the best," Frank told the selection committee. "Not just skilled, but people who can work together when they're farther from home than anyone has ever been." After months of interviews and tests, they made their choices. Captain Olivia Martinez would command the U.S. Horizon. At 42, she had a distinguished Navy career and held degrees in physics and astronomy. Her calm demeanor and sharp mind made her perfect to lead humanity's first mission to the stars. "It's an honor," she said during the press conference announcing her selection, "but also a great responsibility. We go not just for ourselves, but for all of Earth." Commander William Peterson was chosen as her second-in-command, a veteran pilot with thousands of flight hours. The rest of the bridge crew included Ryan Cooper as chief engineer, who had trained directly under Frank, Diane Howard as science officer, and George Patterson as medical officer. Communications would be handled by Catherine Lee, a linguist who spoke 12 languages and had helped decode parts of the alien computer systems. Navigator Eric Sanders, youngest of the crew at 29, had a natural talent for spatial orientation that tests showed was almost superhuman. The United Nations insisted on adding Samantha Nelson, a diplomat tasked with handling any potential first contact situations. "If we meet whoever built that ship," she explained, "we need to be prepared to talk, not just observe." Training began immediately in a facility built to replicate the Horizon systems. The crew faced new challenges every day. The hybrid technology required new ways of thinking. Traditional pilot training wasn't enough when dealing with a ship that could bend space itself. "This is impossible," William complained after failing a simulation for the third time. "No human can react fast enough to navigate at these speeds." "That's why we have the AI assistants," Ryan explained, showing him how the alien computers they'd adapted would handle the complex calculations. "You don't fly her alone. You work with her." Personal tensions emerged during the months of training. Military crew members sometimes clashed with the civilians. Catherine and Eric began a relationship despite rules against it. Samantha's diplomatic priorities often conflicted with Olivia's command decisions. The most serious problem came during a full system simulation. A power surge in the training module caused an explosion that left Commander Peterson with severe burns. He would recover, but doctors said he wouldn't be ready for the mission. "We need to find a replacement," Susan told Frank as they visited Peterson in the hospital. "Someone who can step in right away." They selected Commander Victor Ramirez, an accomplished pilot with an aggressive reputation. From his first day, Victor made it clear he had his own ideas about how the mission should proceed. "We're not going out there to make friends," he told Olivia during a briefing. "We need to secure any technology or resources we find for Earth's benefit." "That's not our mission," Olivia replied firmly. "We're explorers, not conquistadors." As launch day approached, the crew worked to become a unified team despite their differences. They spent 18 hours a day together, eating meals, training, and preparing for every possible scenario they might face among the stars. On their last night on Earth, they gathered on the roof of the training facility. Above them, the stars shone brightly, and the partially lit shape of the U.S. horizon could be seen passing overhead. "Tomorrow," Olivia said quietly, "we go where no one has gone before." No one slept much that night. Each crew member had their own thoughts about what waited for them beyond Earth's embrace. Fear mixed with excitement, doubt with determination. The journey that would transform humanity was about to begin. Launch day arrived with clear skies and rising excitement. Billions of people around the world watched their screens as the crew of the U.S. Horizon made their final preparations. This was humanity's greatest moment, the day we would reach for the stars. Captain Olivia Martinez led her crew through the airlock and onto the bridge of the ship. Each person moved to their station with practiced precision. They had trained for this moment thousands of times, but now it was real. "All stations, report," Olivia ordered, settling into the captain's chair. One by one, the crew confirmed their readiness. Ryan Cooper in engineering gave the final all clear. "Power systems nominal, Captain. The alien tech is humming like a dream." In mission control on Earth, Frank and Susan watched nervously. They had built this ship, integrating alien technology with human innovation. Now they could only watch and hope. "U.S. Horizon, you are cleared for departure," came the voice from mission control. "Godspeed." Olivia took a deep breath. "Navigator Sanders, take us out. Conventional engines only until we clear Earth orbit." The massive ship eased away from the space station. Its conventional engines glowed blue against the blackness of space as it moved steadily away from Earth. 3 hours later, they reached the safe distance for FTL activation. The moment of truth had arrived. "All hands, secure for faster-than-light travel," Olivia announced shipwide. Chief Engineer Cooper, prepare to activate the drive. Ryan's fingers moved across his control panel, initiating the startup sequence they had developed from the alien technology. The ship began to hum with power unlike anything humans had felt before. "Drive systems online," Ryan reported. "Ready on your command, Captain." The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what was at stake. If this worked, humanity would enter a new age. If it failed, they might all die in an instant. "Activate FTL drive," Olivia ordered. Ryan pressed the final sequence. For several terrifying seconds, nothing happened. The crew exchanged nervous glances. Then the stars outside the viewport stretched into lines of light. A strange sensation passed through everyone, like being gently pulled in all directions at once. The U.S. horizon had entered faster than light travel. Cheers erupted on the bridge and in mission control back on Earth. Humanity had done the impossible. The celebration lasted only moments before alarms began blaring throughout the ship. "Power fluctuations in the drive core," Ryan shouted over the noise. "The systems are destabilizing." Olivia gripped her chair as the ship shuddered. "Can you fix it?" Ryan rushed to the engineering station, his hands flying across controls. "Something's wrong with the integration between our systems and the alien tech. They're fighting each other." For 3 tense hours, Ryan and his engineering team worked to stabilize the ship. Nothing they tried worked for long. The carefully designed safety protocols they had built into the alien technology seemed to be causing the problem. "Captain," Ryan said, his face grim, "I need to try something risky. We need to remove our modifications and let the alien systems run as they were designed, without our safety protocols." Olivia asked. "It's that or we might break apart," Ryan answered. Olivia nodded. "Do it." Ryan returned to engineering and removed the human safety systems from the alien drive. Immediately, the ship stabilized, but a new problem arose. The navigation system went dark. "We've lost navigational control," Eric reported from his station. "I don't know where we're going or how to stop." For 3 days, the U.S. horizon traveled through space faster than light, with no way to control its direction or stop its journey. The crew worked around the clock trying to regain control. Then, without warning, the ship dropped back to normal space. Outside the viewports, an unfamiliar star pattern appeared. Diane checked her instruments, her face pale. "Captain, according to stellar cartography, we're over 150 light-years from Earth." Humanity had reached the stars, but they were now farther from home than anyone had ever been, with no clear way back. The crew of the U.S. horizon stared at the view screen in silent awe. Below them was a blue-green planet, third from its sun, with swirling white clouds and vast oceans. Scans showed it had breathable air and temperatures similar to Earth. "It's beautiful," Diane whispered, checking her science station, "and the readings suggest it could support human life." But what caught everyone's attention were the regular signals coming from the planet's surface. Artificial signals, unmistakably created by intelligent life. "We're not alone out here," Catherine said as she analyzed the transmissions. "These patterns are too regular to be natural. This is communication." Captain Olivia called the senior staff to the conference room. "We need to decide our next move. We're stranded until Ryan can fix the drive, and we've just discovered an alien civilization. We should avoid contact," Commander Ramirez argued. "We don't know if they're hostile." Samantha Nelson, the diplomatic officer, disagreed. "This is exactly why I'm on this mission. First contact with an alien species could help us understand the technology our ship is built on." After hours of debate, Olivia made her decision. "We'll take a shuttle down with a small team. Myself, Samantha, Catherine for communications, and Diane for scientific analysis. Commander Ramirez will remain in command of the horizon." The shuttle descended through the atmosphere the next day. They aimed for an uninhabited area near one of the signal sources. As they broke through the clouds, they saw a landscape of purple-tinged vegetation and rolling hills. "It's like Earth, but different," Diane said, recording everything with her equipment. They landed in a clearing and carefully exited the shuttle. The air was breathable as predicted, with a slight sweet smell. They had taken only a few steps when movement caught their attention. From the trees emerged tall, six-limbed beings with smooth skin the color of copper. They moved with grace despite their unusual appearance. More surprising was their reaction. The aliens fled in terror, making high-pitched sounds. "They're afraid of us," Samantha said. Catherine activated her translation device, which carried a modified version of the algorithms used to decode the alien ship's computers. She spoke toward the fleeing figures, her words transformed into sounds that approximated their communication. After several attempts, one of the aliens cautiously approached. Through Catherine's increasingly effective translations, they learned these beings called themselves the Narvani. They had never encountered off-worlders before and were shocked by the humans' appearance. Over the next few days, relations improved. The Narvani brought their leaders and scientists to meet the humans. Their civilization was roughly equivalent to Earth's 21st century, with computers and global communications, but no space travel beyond their own moon. "Ask them about the technology our ship uses," Olivia suggested to Catherine during one meeting. The question caused confusion among the Narvani. Through careful translation, they understood that the Narvani had no knowledge of faster-than-light travel or any of the advanced technology the Horizon used. But if they didn't build it, Diane wondered, then who did? The answer came from an elderly Narvani scholar who arrived the following day. He showed them ancient records of objects falling from the sky. For generations, the Narvani had collected these gifts from above, studying but never fully understanding them. Space junk, Olivia realized. Their system is a dumping ground. The elderly Narvani confirmed her theory. A spacefaring empire called the Zeth hegemony regularly passed through this region of space. They discarded outdated or broken technology, some of which landed on the Narvani world. "The piece we found near Earth," Olivia said. "It must have been Zeth garbage." The news that humans had successfully used this discarded technology amazed the Narvani. Word spread quickly through their global communications network. Soon, Narvani from across their world wanted to meet the humans who had done what they couldn't, make the sky gifts work. What no one realized was that Narvani communications were being monitored by Zeth outposts. The impossible news, that primitive species had mastered discarded Zeth technology, was already traveling to the heart of the hegemony. The Horizon had been orbiting the Narvani world for 2 weeks when the sensors detected something massive entering the system. The object moved with precision and purpose, heading directly toward them. "Captain to the bridge," Commander Ramirez called through the ship's communication system. Olivia, who had been meeting with Narvani leaders on the surface, rushed back to the shuttle and returned to the Horizon. On the main view screen, a vessel appeared that dwarfed the human ship. It was sleek and powerful, with designs similar to the technology they had reverse-engineered. "That's Zeth," Ryan said, looking up from his engineering station. "The design matches components from our dry system." Catherine worked frantically at communications as signals came from the alien ship. "They're demanding we surrender the Horizon immediately," she translated. "They claim we've stolen their proprietary technology." "Open a channel," Olivia ordered. "Tell them we found discarded technology and adapted it. We didn't steal anything." The response was immediate and harsh. The Zeth commander, visible now on screen with 4 eyes and metallic-looking skin, spoke in an angry tone that Catherine's translation system rendered into English. "Salvaging and using our discarded technology violates hegemony law. Your vessel is illegally constructed and will be confiscated. Your crew will be taken for questioning." Before Olivia could respond, energy beams shot from the Zeth ship, disabling the Horizon's weapons and communication systems. The massive ship moved closer, preparing to capture them. "Options?" Olivia asked her crew. Ryan stepped forward. "Captain, I've been studying the alien drive core. I believe we can make a very short FTL jump with minimal power, something the original engineers never thought to try." "Would it get us home?" Olivia asked. "No," Ryan said, shaking his head. "But it might get us out of their grip. It's risky, though. This was never designed for short jumps." Another beam hit the Horizon, causing the ship to shake. "Systems failing across all decks," reported Eric from his station. "We have no choice," Olivia decided. "Ryan, prepare the jump. Everyone else, secure for emergency FTL." Ryan raced to engineering while the Zeth ship extended docking tubes toward the horizon. They had minutes, perhaps seconds. "Jump ready," Ryan called. "Execute now," Olivia ordered. The stars briefly stretched, then snapped back. The horizon disappeared from in front of the Zeth vessel and reappeared behind it. The short jump had worked. "Weapons are back online," Commander Ramirez reported with surprise. "Target their engines," Olivia ordered. "Wait," Catherine interrupted. "Captain, what if we show them what we've done instead? The improvements we've made to their discarded technology." Olivia considered this. "Send them everything. Our complete technical records, all modifications we made to their systems." The Zeth commander's reaction shifted from outrage to disbelief as he reviewed the data. His translator conveyed his stunned response. "This is impossible. Our best engineers deemed these components unfixable. The design was fundamentally flawed." "Not flawed," Ryan explained through the comm. "Just thinking too big. You tried to build massive systems when smaller interconnected ones work better." Word of the human achievement spread quickly through the Zeth hegemony and beyond. The U.S. horizon became famous not as a stolen vessel, but as proof of human ingenuity. Other species, long dominated by Zeth technology, sought human expertise in repurposing junk technology the hegemony discarded. The Zeth, rather than punishing the humans, offered them a deal: safe passage home in exchange for sharing their unique approach to engineering. 6 months later, the Horizon returned to Earth as heroes. They brought knowledge of faster-than-light travel, diplomatic relations with a dozen alien civilizations, and humanity's new status as innovators rather than newcomers. Frank Miller, now an old man, watched the ship's return from a wheelchair at mission control. Tears filled his eyes as the Horizon appeared in Earth orbit, its hull gleaming in the sunlight. What the aliens had scrapped, humans had made legendary. And that was just the beginning.